there, I just have a few disclaimers before we get started. Number 1. This video is meant purely for comedy. This means that I'm going to over-exaggerate some things and pretend I don't know others for the sake of satire. It's part of the fun, just go with it. In addition, none of this video is supposed to be taken seriously. I promise you I've read all the books and I know what really happens. Number 2, when I say that this is about the Talons of Peace, I'm only including the actual members that we see in the books enough to talk about. And I'm not including the alternate dragonettes because that's for another video. This means no Asha because she's dead by the time the series starts, and no Crocodile or Cirrus because both of those guys were spying on the Talons of Peace for different reasons and therefore don't count. All comments telling me I forgot someone are going to be deleted. It's not my fault you didn't listen to the disclaimer, kiddos. And finally, this video will contain spoilers for all the Wings of Fire books up to Moon Rising. This is your official warning. Again, not my fault if you still watch this video and you get spoiled. Okay, that should be enough. Hello men's, femmes, thems, and toasters, it is Ultimate here, back with yet another summary video that isn't really a summary video, and apparently people hate me now because I don't outright tell them in the title I'm meant for comedy. Yes, I'm fine. This is fine. When you were reading the first few Wings of Fire books, who stuck out to you the most? Did you like the adorable mud puddle Clay, who just wanted to help his friends? Did you like our fierce sea-wing warrior princess Tsunami? Of course you didn't. You loved the abusive old dragons who were keeping the dragonettes captive, right? Right? Anyways, I'm going to ignore the flood of Kestrel apologist comments and just get on with it. Webbs, the creatively named Sea-Wing, is one of 3 guardians for the Dragonettes of Destiny. At first when I was reading the books, I thought he'd be useful in some way. But nope. He's just a blob of nothing, avoiding literally everyone and putting his safety before anyone else. A lot of people seem to think he's a fine character, and that it's totally justified for him to be terrified of Kestrel and Dune, but I don't buy it, Chief. He even expresses how glad he is that the Dragonettes are alive once they meet again in Book 2, but he never really showed any affection for them, besides mentioning that Glory is better than Kestrel gives her credit for. Being a dude who just stands by and lets horrible stuff happen to other people doesn't make him seem much better than the Skywing actually breathing fire of the Dragonettes they're supposed to be helping. At least he's alive now, being the absolute worst history teacher ever in the Murder Mountain School. How fun. And speaking of breathing fire, Skywings can do that. They can breathe fire. Kestrel. We're talking about Kestrel now. Kestrel is like every strict gym teacher you've ever had, except she can literally scorch you to death in about 5 seconds if you get on her nerves. And believe me, it's not hard. So basically, she's an absolute gem of a dragon. Real talk, I see where a lot of people are coming from when they say her anger at the Dragonettes is justified because they all reminded her of her own kids that she thought were dead. I get your point, and you're absolutely able to have your own opinion on that, even though that's completely wrong because abuse is not justified by the abuser having a tragic past. Cue everyone screaming theories at me in the comments. Along with being the literal stereotype of grumpy Skywing, she somehow didn't know that Peril was still alive and working for Queen Scarlet. Dude, you literally flew away and left her there with a queen who's obsessed with blood and gore. What did you think was going to happen? We can give her some credit though, because she was kinda nice to Peril once. One time. Sort of. Dune is the one Sandwich character that I only remember because of his past from the war and his scars, which are only mentioned like twice. To be fair though, he does die in literally the first book, so we don't really get much of a chance to see him anyway. From those few pages he appears in, we can deduce that he is grumpy and annoyed at everything for some reason. He kind of reminds me of a really mean grandpa that you only see once or twice a year during family functions, and every time he sees you, he makes some sort of backhanded comment that you don't know what to do with. At least he's nicer than the constantly burning flame of doom that is Kestrel. He has this tragic backstory with his friend Six Claws, who is seemingly abandoned after he saved his life, and then promptly stole the only child of a struggling single mother. So yeah, he's a great guy. Oh, and who could forget the love interest of Tsunami? I actually had to look him up because that's all I remembered about Riptide. He's that forgettable. He's the son of Webbs, which he hides for obvious reasons, and until he became the leader of the Talons, was basically a throwaway guard that just swam around looking for trouble. I actually liked him a lot in the second book, just because he kind of said what everyone was thinking most of the time. Besides his fun personality, though, he's a boring piece of kelp, especially in the 7th book, wherein his only role in the story is to ask about Tsunami and then say that she probably doesn't want to hear from him. Tui confirmed. You're literally in a long-distance relationship. She's your girlfriend. Why wouldn't she want to see you? Nautilus is a character in the series. He reminds me of Riptide a little bit, but if Riptide was willing to murder people for peace. I'm not even kidding. He tells Cirrus to rip out Webbs' heart. That's literally the opposite of peace. What the heck? We don't really see him in the books much either, except for the prologues that are the equivalent of cutscenes for a book, where he pretty much just sits around and does whatever Blister or Marusir tell him to do. Also, I never really got the point of being the leader of a group that's called the Talons of Peace and actively getting involved in the war. The logic there seems pretty flimsy, kind of like his personality. Finally, Avalanche is a Skywing that we know pretty much nothing about, except that she's Flame's mother, and her name makes her sound like an Icewing. I just had to put her in here because the comment section will murder me if I don't. Here you go, she's a character that exists in the series. Are you happy now? That's pretty much it for today's summary. Thanks for watching, and Ultimate out.